Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept our humble obeisances. Our gladness to Dr. Krishna Prabhupada, our gladness to our revered speaker, His Grace GANGAPRASAD Prabhu, and to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees. Devotees, as usual, we thank you for being here. Today is Wednesday, the 11th day of the 12th month of 2024. And we have one of our own, His Grace GANGAPRASAD Prabhu, who is speaking to us. So, Prabhuji, we can put the verse on the screen and then you take it over from here.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Om Yanti Mirandasya Janang Jana Salakaya Chaksuro Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nivishesha Sunyavadi Astasya Desatarine Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavam Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tansa Jivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Manchakalpatarubhyaschai Kripasindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanambeyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Sri Gaura Bhaktavindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanan Namaskrityam Naranchayva Narautamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasa Tatudaya Mudirayet Nasa Priya Swabradesu Nityam Bhagavatam Sevaya Bhagavate Uttamas Loke Bhakti Bhagavati Nastiki. Hare Krishna. I'd like to formally welcome all the devotees present and beg for your blessings to be able to do this service with due diligence and for my purification and for the benefit of the audience. Today we'll be taking our reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 5, Vidura Talks with Maitreya, text number 5. Karoti kama nikrita vataro Yanyat matantro bhagavam triyadisam. Yata sasaja graidam niriha. Samstapya vritim jagato vidate. Karoti kama nikrita vataro. Yanyat matantro bhagavam trayadisaham. Yata sasaja graidam niriha. Samstapya vritim jagato vidate. Karoti kama nikrita vataro. Yanyat matantro bhagavam traya disam. Yatta sasaja graidam niriha. Samstapya vritim jagato vidate. Word for word transliteration. Karoti does them. Kamani, transcendental activities. Krita, by accepting. Avatara, incarnations. Yani, all those. Atmatantra, self-independent. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Atyadisa, the Lord of the three worlds. Yata, as much as. Sa Saja, created. Agre, at first. Idam, this cosmic manifestation. Niriha, although desireless. Samstapya, by establishing. Pritim, means of livelihood. Jagata, of the universe. Vidate, as he regulates. Translation and explanation by Divine Grace, Jagaguru A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai Ho. O great sage, kindly narrate how the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the independent, desireless Lord of the three worlds, and the controller of all energies, accepts incarnations and creates the cosmic manifestation with perfectly arranged regulative principles for its maintenance. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Krishna is the original personality of Godhead from whom the three creative incarnations, namely the Purusha Avatar, Karanakashai Vishnu, Gabudakashai Vishnu, and Shirodakashai Vishnu expand. The whole material creation is conducted by the three Purushas in successive stages under the external energy of the Lord, and thus material nature is controlled by him. Thinking material nature to be independent is like seeking milk from the nipple-like bags on the neck of a goat. The Lord is independent and desireless. He does not create the material world for his own satisfaction as we create our own household affairs to fulfill our material desires. Actually, the material world is created for the illusory enjoyment of the conditioned souls who have been against the transcendental service of the Lord since time immemorial. But the material universe are full in themselves. There is no scarcity for maintenance in the material world because of their poor fund of knowledge. The materialists are disturbed when there is an apparent increase of population on the earth. Whenever there is a living being on the earth, however, his subsistence is immediately arranged by the Lord. The other species of living entities who far outnumber human society are never disturbed for maintenance. They are never seen dying of starvation. It is only human society that is disturbed about the food situation, and to cover up the real fact of administrative mismanagement, takes shelter in the plea that the population is excessively increasing. If there is any scarcity in the world, it is the scarcity of God consciousness. Otherwise, by the grace of the Lord, there is no scarcity of anything. Mukankaroti wa chalam, pangam langa ya tegirim, ya kripatu amahamande, shi guru dinatarinam, ya kripatu amahamande, Paramananda Madam, Sri Krishna, Chaitanya, Ishwara, Hare Krishna. The chapter or this text is very, very compact. Prabhupada put in a lot of ingredients for Krishna consciousness in this very purport, and also aids us to analyze the seeming precarious situation that is being experienced all over the world today. So Prabhupada has helped us, and Prabhupada has also affirmed that it is only chasing Krishna consciousness that will enable us to mitigate and be able to understand the seeming contradictions that we are observing and experiencing. So this discussion is taking place between Vidura and Maitreya. Before Uddhava left Vidur, he mentioned to him that there is message Krishna left with Maitreya for him. And Uddhava coming here has not come like most of us do. I remember citing one example when I said, Avichandra Maharaj promised to give me a cell phone. And every other minute I was asking him, when will you give me the phone? When will you give me the phone? Until he told me, if you ask one more time, I will not give you again. So I silenced myself. But ultimately, he gave me the cell phone when he was leaving. So here, Vidura, out of natural humility, did not inquire from Maitreya directly about the Lord's form, pastime, etc., but inquired into a subject more relevant to the common man. Further, as he heard from Uddhava that the Lord particularly spoke to Uddhava, he did not want to ask Maitreya about higher topics and waited for Maitreya to explain them on his own. The example I gave of myself and my experience with Kavichandra Maharaj is just like that. I was too forward, and then he put me where I belong, and then I became calm and waited on him. And this is a very big therapy in living in this material world. We are jumpy and we create paces that are not necessary. In the end, all the pace we create keep us in big tension. But there is a pace that Krishna has kept for everybody. In the Bible is mentioned, I know the thought I have for you, thought of good, not evil, bringing to an expected end. So for everything Krishna has made, Krishna has a game plan. Krishna knows the immediate situation, and Krishna has a destination. In all, Krishna means well for us. So in the purport of Bhagavad Gita chapter 10, text number 3, Prabhupada mentioned the material creation by the Lord of all creatures, Vishnu, here is referring to the Purusha avatars, is a chance offered to the conditioned soul to come back home, back to Godhead. All living entities within the material creation are conditioned by material nature because of their forgetfulness of their relationship with Vishnu or Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the point Prabhupada made towards the end, that we are here, we are going through whatever we go through, and we are dealing with the experiences based on the figment of our own imagination, not based on the reality of understanding what Krishna wants. I was hearing one speaker speak about this very topic, and he said, in Krishna consciousness, materially, we don't plan. We only surrender to Krishna's own plan. And you can see in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has a plan about the battlefield. Arjuna was not understanding, and so Arjuna was gesticulating and speculating what he thinks is best. But Krishna told him, why speaking learned words? You are lamenting for what is not worthy of lamentation. Those who are wise, they lament neither for the living nor for the dead. So that is the first lesson Krishna gave Arjuna. And in this very chapter also, we are seeing this, that we are crying wolf where there is no wolf. We are complaining, we are grumbling, and we are casting blames. And here, Prabhupada tries to douse our anxiety by making us know that there is a plan that is existing. All we need to do is surrender so that Krishna can unfold his plans. And this is exactly what Arjuna did in the end. Arjuna was not willing to do Krishna's bidding, but after Krishna has stimulated his understanding and then unveiled a lot of facts to him, Arjuna in turn wanted some conviction. To do this, maybe I'll be convinced, until when Krishna showed him the universal form, the 400 form, and then the Krishna form. Then he exclaimed, Asita, Devala, Narada, all of these people have said it about you. You are Param Brahma, Param Dharma. So until we come to this platform of conviction where we can attest to the personality of Krishna, it will be difficult for us to wait on Krishna. Rather, we depend on our own game plans, our intuitive likes, and dislike. So Prabhupada gives a lot of information here. First, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentioned that from this very text 5 until text 9 was an exemplary attitude by Vidu in questioning Maitreya. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur mentioned that this verse till verse 9 are all connected with the verb. Please describe. Tradisa means Krishna, the Lord of the three Purusha. Describe how he performs action like Govardhan. Describe how he's the controller of the three gunas, Mahavishnu. At the end of the last life of Brahma, after destroying Samstapa, the universe, again at the beginning of Brahma's life, in Mahakalpa, he creates the universe and then maintains it. This word maintenance is one big thing that Prabhupada is mentioning here. We're always feeling a sense of lack. But in the invocation of the Sri Ishopanishads, it mentions Om Punamada Punamidam, Punam Punam Ujachate, Punasya Punamadaya, Punam Evavasisyate. That the Supreme Lord, personality of God, is perfect and complete. And because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete whole. It goes further to buttress. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. That is an affirmation that this material world have everything complete. Because he is the complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, it remains the complete balance. And if you probe this little further, because this requires a lot of introspection, and what we are reading now is sometimes the leaders, instead of accepting their misadministration or administrative mismanagement. That's the word Prabhupada used. He said something there, poor fund of knowledge and administrative mismanagement. They start casting aspersions. Oh, the population is increasing. And so that is why, you find this depopulation theory, that the population of the world should reduce so that the resources will be sufficient. But is there any scarcity? Because of lack of knowledge. So in this invocation, it makes us know the purport is not too much. You can just share, or we read some, and any individual here, you can take your time and read this to increase your understanding of these very texts. Prabhupada said in the purport, the complete whole of the supreme personality of Godhead is complete personality of Godhead. Realization of the impersonal Brahma of Paramatma, the super soul, is incomplete realization of the absolute. The supreme personality of Godhead is Sachit Ananda Vigraha. Prabhu Sadev, if you can share the invocation of Sri Upanishad, so as I read, we can all be reading along. Please, invocation of Sri Upanishad before the first mantra. The supreme personality of Godhead is Sachit Ananda, and impersonal Brahma realization is realization of his Sat future or his aspect of eternity. And Paramatma or super soul realization is the realization of his Sat Chit futures. His aspect of eternity, and knowledge, realization and knowledge. Realization of the personality of Godhead, however, is realized of all the transcendental futures, Sachit Ananda, bliss. When one realizes the Supreme Person, he realizes this aspect in complete form, Vigraha. Thus, the complete whole is not formless. If he was formless, or if he were any less than his creation in any way, he will not be complete. The complete whole must contain everything, both within and beyond our experience. Otherwise, he cannot be complete. The complete whole, the personality of Godhead, has immense potency, all of which are as complete as he is. Thus, this phenomenal or material world is also complete in itself, so there's no scarcity. So our claims are false. The 24 elements of which this material universe is a temporary manifestation are arranged to produce everything for the maintenance of subsistence of this universe. No other unit in the universe need make any extra strenuous effort to try to maintain the universe. This is where we all go astray. We are thinking by our game plan, by setting our goals, by our endeavor, we can make the world a better place. But here is telling us, world is already complete. You just take advantage of what is available and make spiritual advancement and go back home, back to Godhead. It's like one poet wrote, he said, you cannot change the universe. You can only improve on an aspect of the universe. Aspect. And that aspect is you. So we have more of self-evaluation, self-improvement to be able to live life in reality and enjoy the fullness of what nature has to offer. So Prabhupada continued that the whole material world is conducted by the three Purushas in successive stages under the external energy of the Lord. The remaining portion we can read on our own time. But the essence is that the universe is complete. Nothing is missing. Any lack or any fault we find is a deduction of our own imagination or our intuitive thinking, our likes and our dislike. But the world is complete. So here, the material world is functioning and is seeing that things are unfolding. That is why in the beginning he said that the Purusha incarnation, Karana Dakasha Vishnu, He glanced over Prakriti just by glancing. He impregnated all the living entities after manifesting the ingredients for the material creation. That is the sequence. So he mentioned that in successive stages, the whole material creation is conducted by the three Purushas in successive stages under the external energy of the Lord. And thus, material nature is controlled by him. Krishna is controlling material nature. Krishna is not controlled by material nature. It's a divine service that material nature is doing.
Well,
for the pleasure of God. The same way we are here to perform, of which independence is one. Krishna is independent as is mentioned here. We are also independent. And that's why we function according to our whims and caprices. But that is not enhancing our welfare or our fulfillment. So the whole of the Vedas is geared towards making us understand the real direction. So the Veda is like a compass for us to tread or traverse this material creation. So Krishna deals with this using the material nature to see that things are unfolding at their own time. So Prabhupada is refuting the fact here that thinking material nature to be independent is like seeking milk from the nipple-like bag on the neck of a goat. So it's like you're just unnecessarily whipping the horse. There will never be a time that milk will come out of the nipple. And there will never be a time also when material nature will be independent of Krishna. So in Brahma Samhita, Lord Brahma says, Srishti Sthiti Pralaya Sadhana Shakti Eka Chayeva Yasya Bhavanati Vivati Durga Icha Nirupam, Icha, only based on the will of the Supreme. Icha Nirupam Apiyasya Chase Satesa Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. He offers his respect to Govinda, under whose order material nature is conducting activities according to his wishes. So material nature is never independent, was not independent, and will never be independent. So it's a misevaluation. So Prabhupada used the allegory here. It's like seeking milk from the nipple on the neck of a cow. He said the Lord is independent and desireless. Independent means in the second text of the first canto, he called him Swarat. Independent. And because we are part of him, we are also independent. Somebody was asking me yesterday, oh, there's something he wants to do. He needs somebody to do this and guide him and do that. I say, yes, it is not wrong to be guided, but ultimately it boils down to DIY. You have to do it yourself. So if you're a little bit more introspective, you can add pieces and bits and be able to know what is the right thing to do. So inside the purport, he said, but by misuse of this independence, we become conditioned. So that portion of the Bhagavad Gita we read, chapter 3, text 10, the purport, he said material is offered for the conditioned living entities to be able to perfect their life. This is the mission statement for every living entity. We just have to get out of it. If you read the book, Coming Back, he ends it with, never come back. But you will come back if you don't act properly. If you act properly, then you will not come back. So we need to act properly. And acting properly means surrendering to Krishna, which is Krishna's demand also in Bhagavad Gita. Abandon everything, surrender to me. Sabadama Parityaja, Mame Kamsaranamraja. So that is the real thing. But we will become too materially entangled. Prabhupada said in his purport explanation of the Mahamantra, he said the conditioned living entities, they are trying to lord it over material nature. But they are becoming more and more entangled in her complexities. We get entangled in the web of material nature, but we are thinking we want to be lords. One motivational speaker was saying that one individual went to the library and he asked the library attendant that he's looking for a book titled Man, the Master of Woman. And the librarian told him he should go and check in the fiction counter. Means it's not a reality. Go to the fiction counter and see if you find such books. Because man is not master of anything. We are all dependent on the control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So material nature is controlled, and thinking material nature to be independent is like seeking milk from the nipple bag on the neck of the goat. The Lord is independent and desireless. He does not create the material world for his own satisfaction as we create our household affairs to fulfill our material desires. The material world, he says, is created for the illusory endeavor of the conditioned living entity. We will strive, we will do many things, but in the end, that satisfaction is not there, because here is made to give you only misery. Dukalayanam asasatam. This is a place of misery. So no matter what you invent, no matter approach that you give thinking you can make here better, the end of it is you will die. And when you die, you'll be born again. And when you're born again, you struggle again, grow, have disease, old age. So it's a perpetual vicious circle. But to get out of this vicious circle, just few nuggets. Know about Krishna, surrender to Krishna, and do Krishna's bidding. When this is done, you see that your life becomes fulfilled. So when that speaker was saying that Prabhupada never made any material plan, spiritual plan is different, because spiritual plan is according to the revelation unfoldment of Krishna. Krishna guides from within the heart. He said in Gita 15:15, Savasya Chaham Ridisani Visto, Mata Smriti Jnana Punahamcha. And within everyone's heart, from me comes knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So the remembrance is a gift to the level we surrender. Krishna will unfold things. Krishna will unfold his plans. Krishna will unfold the know-how depending on the degree of our surrender. So our real life is not to make material plans, because all the material plans will come to naught in the end. But when we submit to Krishna, depending on Krishna's perfect plan, Krishna will be unfolding them. For our maintenance, Krishna made it like a covenant. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 9:22. He said, but to those who worship me, Ananya Chintayanto Mam, those who worship me with, there's a particular word he used. Those who worship me with
exclusive devotion.
Come again?
It's exclusive
devotion. That's the word. Exclusive. Bhagavad Gita 9:22. But to those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. There's no insurance more than this for living. There is no insurance company that will give you this. Because you will die and the insurance policy will be here waiting for implementation. What Krishna is saying is exclusive devotion. And you cannot do devotion to Krishna without surrendering to Krishna and submitting to Krishna and using your thinking, your feeling, and willing to serve Krishna. So this reciprocation is there, but how many of us are experiencing it? So Actually, the material world is created for the illusory enjoyment of the conditioned soul who have been against the transcendental service of the Lord since time immemorial. So it's just like you have a child and you want to keep the child busy, so you stock toys in a room. The child will play with different toys in that one room. He will not disturb your own activities. He will be very preoccupied. And in the end, he will fall asleep. The same thing, material world is created for us to make so many endeavors. But if you go to that Bhagavad Gita chapter 18:34, it said that when one has come to the platform of Brahma Bhuta, spiritual realization, said, na sochati, na kanshati. So this material world is not created for Krishna to fulfill anything, but it's just a facility he offered. Krishna has nothing here. Krishna is working here with his agencies. He uses his energies. So he says the master of all energies. So he runs things. And not because he wants to enjoy something, but we do everything we do with some purpose, some intention. And that is why he said that in Gita, the real purpose the material world is sustaining is because of Icha and Dwese, our desires and hate. Because always the desire is increasing. It's not decreasing. It's increasing, unlimited. And in economics, they say that the human wants are insatiable. Okay? But in the end, because it's insatiable, you will never be happy. You'll be miserable. Rabaki was mentioning that in the material world, if you desire something, you don't get it, you're miserable. You get it and it doesn't last, you're miserable. You get it and you lose it, you're miserable. So at one point, will you be fulfilled? Material world is not meant for that. That's why the word illusory. Illusory enjoyment of the conditioned soul. But we don't have to remain conditioned. We have to liberate ourselves. And the only thing that will emancipate you is devotional service to Krishna. That's why Krishna said in the next text, 54 is Nasochati, Nakarshati, but 55 he said, Bhaktiya Mam Abhijananti. It's only by unmotivated, uninterrupted that I can be known as I am, standing before you. And I like that portion of the text. He said, and when one is full in this consciousness of me, use that word, when you are full in this consciousness of me, you can enter expressly into the kingdom of God. And when you get to the kingdom of God, you cannot come here again. You won't come here again. So all the scripture is emphasizing this. So nobody should lay his treasures here. Even our Lord Jesus Christ said, live in the world, but don't be of the world. Just live here, have this knowledge, apply it. Death will come ultimately. But you should die in such a way that you will not come back here again. So Prabhupada goes further to say, but the material universe are full in themselves, which we read in that invocation of the Upanishad. Punamada, Punamidam. So that idam is fullness in this material world. And there is no scarcity in the material world. But because of poor fund of knowledge, this is important. Krishna said, I give knowledge. When we don't have the knowledge and we are materialists, we're always going to be disturbed when there is an apparent increase in population. But Krishna said in Gita, Savayoni Sukanteya, all the embodied living entities, Aham Bija, Pradapita, I'm the seed-giving father. So Krishna does not give a seed and not comport it with the necessities of living. That's why he said in the first mantra, Isava Asyam, Idam Sarva. So we have to come to this Isava Asya consciousness, that everything within the universe, whether animate or inanimate, is owned and controlled by the same personality of God. Along with his control is that he provides for the basic necessity of living. It's only when we are materially infested that we think, oh, the provisions are not enough. We start for finding. Then we start making our own plans, how we can improve it. Then the man will die. And the whole thing are not improved. It remains what it is. Okay? So Krishna provides. It doesn't matter what the population rises. Krishna is the source and the safe-giving father. So along with being the source, he makes provision. And Prabhupada is saying further in the text that the other species of living entities who are far outnumber human society, they are not complaining of population increase, and they are not lacking. They don't complain. They don't die of starvation. They don't die of hunger. Their population is more. For the mammals, it is 5 million. Am I right? 3 million or 5 million species. Human species is only 400,000. And we are saying that population is going out of proportion. And so the resources available will not be enough for us to run the population. Prabhupada said further, whenever there is a living being on earth, however, his subsistence is immediately arranged by the Lord. That is palliative, packaged to accompany the living entity. The other species of entities who far outnumber humans are never disturbed for maintenance. They are never seen dying of starvation. It is only human society that is disturbed about the food situation. And to cover the real fact of administrative management, I was discussing with somebody yesterday in the first canto about chapter 10 of Srimad Bhagavatam, when he was mentioning about the glories of the leadership of Yudhishthira. He said that the pasture, which is the field, they are moistured by milk coming from the milk bag of the cows. We have to water to see the vegetable or vegetation sustained. But during the reign of King Yudhishthira, who was a devotee and was in knowledge about Krishna, everything was synchronizing. Cows, they have so much milk that they wet the pastures with the milk from their breasts. And everything flourished. The minerals were producing. The rivers were flowing appropriately. And everybody has sufficient for themselves. That when the king ultimately decides to tax, people don't grumble. They even want him to take more because they have sufficient. If you don't have, you cannot give. But Prabhupada ends this purport that if there is any scarcity in the world, if there is any scarcity, it is the scarcity of God consciousness or Krishna consciousness. That's only what is scarce. And why is it so? In Bhagavad Gita chapter 3, text 27, it says, Prakriti kriya manani gunakamani sava saha ahankara vimudatma kataham iti manyate. It says the bewildered conditioned living entity, he thinks himself the doer of activities that are actually conducted by nature. So it's out of false ego, false perception, false assessment that we think we do anything. But if we come to real understanding that Krishna is the Sava Karanam, is the cause of all causes, is the one who is doing everything. And when we know that, we just surrender to his own plans. And when we surrender to the plans of Krishna, we will have fulfillment and we'll get to the ultimate destination. So in that portion of Bhagavad Gita, I think it's 1623, it said, those who discard the scriptural injunction and they act according to their own whims and caprices, na sam siddhi avapnoti, they will not have perfection. Na sokam, they will not be happy. Na param gati, they will not get to the ultimate destination. So why do we have to leave Krishna counsel? So Prabhupada is saying scarcity is not real. And if there's any scarcity, it is the scarcity of God consciousness. Otherwise, by the grace of the Lord, there is no scarcity of anything. Nothing is lacking. He who discards spiritual injunction and acts according to his own whims and caprices and attain neither perfection, nor happiness, nor supreme destination. Thank you very much, Prabhu. So these are the scriptural references. And all we need to do is increase our association with chanting. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was saying that revelations and the miseries we face is because we have not started chanting in the mood that we should do. So always we'll complain of something. And we are not hearing sufficiently. Because that is what we have been given. Mahaprabhu emphasized on this. He came to do this and he came to teach us. Parama Koruna, Oidwijana, Nitai Gora Chandra. They came to teach us this standard. Chanting and hearing. So if we are chanting sufficiently and we are depending on Krishna, Krishna has already made the covenants. Exclusive devotion. I will preserve what they have and I'll carry what they lack. What else do you need in this life? But because of our intuitive like and dislike, we are speculating, gesticulating, misadventuring. In the end, we don't find fulfillment. We are not happy. So the bottom of this is we should follow like Vidura did. Vidura was aiming at something, but he used some kind of approach. First is with humility. He didn't ask direct questions. He only threw questions that will be expanded. And this is what Bhagavatam classes are. I'm questioning in Bhagavatam class is to increase the nectar. It will increase the churning and people will be absorbed. But if the questioning is not done in this mood, then it will not give the proper result. In Gita 4:34, it said, inquire submissively, render service. Submissive inquiries and service. Prabhupada ended that purport by saying the perfection of inquiry and service will be manifest because knowledge will be given. Padeshantite jnana, jnanina tatvadashi. So Vidura knows this and he acted based on that. And ultimately, Maitreya gave him all what he wanted. So this should be our mood and this should be what we apply. And so all the seeming lack that we're experiencing, we should start from now to see that the world is perfect and complete because it's coming from a perfect whole. Nothing is lacking. Lack is only the creation of our own imagination. And why we feel such lack is because of lack of Krishna consciousness. If we are convinced about the process of Krishna consciousness, and we are convinced that Krishna is the cause of all causes, Krishna is the provider, and this material world is created for our own benefit, to make amends of our running away from Krishna. That story of the prodigal son of the Bible is not limited for the Bible audience. It is universal. That's why Prabhupada said the only thing that is missing, scarce, is lack of Krishna consciousness. The prodigal son did not want to be his father conscious. He decided to bolt away. Father, give him my own inheritance. Just like the material world is created, the father gave him his inheritance and he accompanied him like the super solar accompany the living entity in their sojourn here. When he has squandered and mismanaged, which is what Prabhupada cared, they try to cover their misadministration. They now start making unnecessary blames. The prodigal son squandered, mislived, and the well finished, and he found himself in precarious condition. The misery of his experience is not sufficiently explained, but it was this Lord in the heart that gave him the understanding. In your father's house, even the most menial servant does not eat leftover pigs. Then he made a gesture. No, I'll go back to my father and I'll beg him, please accept me, no longer as your son, but lower than the most insignificant servants. Das, Anudas. And he headed for home. He has not reached home. The father only sighted him from a distance and he dashed off to go and pick him up. He gave him bath, he changed his clothing, he ornamented him, and he threw a feast party on his behalf. This is what the material world is made for us to come to this realization as prodigal children and go back to Krishna. So these texts and purport, they are very rich for people who want to be absorbed in practice of Krishna consciousness. When Prabhupada was leaving this planet, Prabhupada did not ask so many questions. He only asked his disciple, are you convinced that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And they were just gaping at them, saying, why did Prabhupada ask this? We have been associating with him, we have been doing this, we have been doing that. So obviously, we are expected to be Krishna, to know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We may know it at some moment, and sometimes we become bewildered, because that is nature of material world. And the mind is always looking for new exploits. So what we feel today, we will desire something else tomorrow, and so we will lose focus. But if we are convinced about Krishna, we will be more absorbed. That's what Krishna said. You will be absorbed in me. You will come to me. Is that absorption that is the whole process of Krishna conscious practice? It is not easy, but by constant practice and detachment. That's what Krishna told us. So this should be our mood. We should not condemn ourselves. We should not feel guilty. We should not feel a sense of incapacitation, but by constant practice, let us continue to practice. Krishna will meet us midway and our lives will be fulfilled. Hare Krishna. In case there are questions, comments, or corrections, we can all share together. Hare Krishna. And happy
Hare
Ekadashi.
Krishna. Hare
For
Krishna.
those of you are within the those of you are within the terrain of observing Ekadashi today, happy Ekadashi.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, thank you. Happy Ekadashi to each and everyone. Thank you so much for the wonderful Krishna Katha. Dear devotees, if anyone may have comments, questions, realizations, you may unmute and go ahead and ask your question or share your comments or realizations. Well, I have a couple of questions. Shri GANGAPRASAD Prabhu. The first question I have is you did mention a couple times that first you said you had one devotee give a lecture who said it, and it seems you also supported and you repeated that materially no devotee should make any plans. Now my question is, what does that mean? What does that mean that materially devotees should not make plans when we are living in this material world? If you may help.
A person who I heard speaking made me probe further to understand, because he used Prabhupada as an example. He said when Prabhupada arrived from the Jaladuta in Boston, Prabhupada wrote a prayer after disembarking from the Jaladuta on September 17, 1965. In Boston, Prabhupada wrote, Guru Kripa, Koilo Krishna Adame Prati. And he said in the explanation, O spiritual master of the whole world, I simply repeat your message. So if you like, you can make my power of speaking suitable for their understanding. What do we do today? We go to seminars to learn how to do presentation and all of this. But despite all our expertise in skill acquisition, the ultimate thing depends on what Krishna wants us to do. Prabhupada also said something, I have no business here. I don't know why you have brought me here, but he pleaded, make me dance, make me dance, make me dance as you like. That is dependent on the unfoldment of Krishna's plans. We can plan very well. And Prabhupada quoted Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati when he said, I remember my Guru Maharaj saying that if Krishna wants to show you special mercy, it will take away everything materially that you have. That is installment one. So all your plans are dependent only on Krishna. So nobody is against anybody planning, but don't remove the Krishna fact. If Krishna is willing, it's like in the mosque, they will teach you that whatever you say, you add, Inshallah, God willing. If God does not approve it, the Bible says the builders, they build in vain. If the Lord does not build, and the watchmen, they watch in vain. If the Lord does not watch. So emphasis there is that it all depends on Krishna. You are so kind to this useless soul, but I do not know why you have brought me here. You can do whatever you like with me. But I guess you have some business here. Otherwise, why will you bring me to this terrible place? Most of the population here is covered by the material modes of ignorance and passion. Absorbed in material life, they think themselves very happy and satisfied, and therefore they have no taste for the transcendental message of God's faith. I do not know how they will be able to understand it. These are the examples that speaker gave of Prabhupada, and it made me come here, and as I was introspecting on it, it was a reality. Prabhupada had no material plans, but he was just dependent on Krishna to unfold his plans. He will become liberated from the influence of the modes of ignorance and passion and us. All auspicious things accumulated in the core of the heart will disappear. How will I make them understand this message of Krishna consciousness? I'm very unfortunate, unqualified, and the most fallen. Therefore, I am seeking your benediction so I can convince them, for I'm powerless to do so on my own. These are the points that are emphasized. It is not saying don't plan, but depend on Krishna's plan. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Well, Hare Krishna. Fortunately or unfortunately, I was not present in that class, and therefore there is no way for me to ask the speaker the questions I would have loved to ask. But because you are speaking it, that's why I'm asking you these questions, because the examples you gave, reading Srila Prabhupada's prayers from the Jaladuta diaries, I do not find those to be material things Srila Prabhupada was praying against or praying for. It is devotional service that Srila Prabhupada was praying to Srila Prabhupada as to how Sri Krishna will guide him and make his words fruitful. So that is spiritual. But I just wanted to understand, what did the speaker mean when he said, do not plan materially? And I think you were trying to give one example that like people study like how to speak or how to do things, and then eventually they fail. That also, I don't fully agree to that, in the sense that we live in this material world in the first place, and therefore everything in this material world is material. Things only become spiritual when they are connected to Krishna. Otherwise, everything is material. Even the mind we are using to think, the mouth we are using it to utter a word, they are all material. So it's kind of bewildering to me when we say that do not plan materially. Materially, in what sense? Is it like do not plan how to take care of your body, or how to take care of your dental hygiene? These are material things. My body is material. Dental hygiene is material. Does that mean I don't have to plan how to take care of my dental hygiene? I do not have to take care of my bowel movement? I do not have to plan for any of these things. That is why I'm asking.
All right, let me share this with you, please. But the essence of this talk is to make us depend more on Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita chapter 15, Purushottam Yoga, Krishna is saying, you said about movement of your bowel. Krishna takes care of that. I think in 13:14, I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the 4 kinds of food. What is your input in this? What plan will you make to change this?
Well, one thing, it says the 4 different kinds of foodstuff we put into the body. So I have to plan to make sure that whatever I'm putting into my system is under one of these 4 different types. If it is not one of those 4 different types, then I know I'm going to cause problem. Therefore, I have to think and I have to plan that I do not do this. If I do this, it's going to hurt me. If I do that, it's going to help me.
Anyway, it is interesting and it makes for sweetness of the discussion. But the bottom line is depend on Krishna in every circumstance.
Of course, yes.
That's all. That is just the take from this discussion. So those who want to plan, let them continue to plan. The scripture says they are already bewildered, and all their plan will come to naught.
Yeah.
So simple part, just follow Krishna's plans.
Yeah.
That is the take here.
Actually, this question and the answer leads me to the second question. That is why I asked this question first. Because, Madam Prabhu, excuse me, I will get back to you. It's because you had also stated, when you quoted from the invocation of Sri Upanishad, that the complete whole is whole and all the different parts and parcels coming from him are also whole. And there was this statement you made that Krishna is independent. And because we are parts and parcels of him, we are also independent. And here we are seeing that even though we may think we are independent, We are not, but we are not independent, like you rightly quoted. Whatever we decide to do, whatever we want to do, is dependent on the Supreme Lord. So when you say because the Supreme Lord is independent and we are parts and parcels of Him, we are also independent. Does that mean like minute independence, which will be like partial independence, or we are independent just like Krishna is independent?
Very good.
If you
Good
may.
question. I gave referral where to read. Go to Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, text 7. The word used there, minute independence.
All right.
We are not having anything absolute.
Yeah.
And he gave the consequences. Your minute independence can be rightly used. It will make you liberated. It can also be misused and it will make you conditioned. All this is in that purport of 15:7.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for the clarification. And Madhavan Prabhu, are you still there? You still have a question?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. All glory is unto Prabhupada.
All glory to
Thank you
Guru
very much.
Gauranga.
Thank you very much for being on board for us once again. We really appreciate your lecture and your endeavor. The question Prabhupada is asked, it's a very tricky, and we know the mystery of this life is a mystery of Krishna, how we operate. Is it's difficult to understand. Like where I say, don't have material plan. You see, just like Prabhu has explained, before we come into this world, there's a plan for us, for our sustenance. But somehow, when we think there is no plan, we try to struggle on our own. And usually, this struggle, the only one that will work is the one that corresponds with the plans of Krishna. But ultimately, it is its own ultimate plan. Ordinarily we think if we struggle very hard, we are going to make it. But our struggling doesn't determine one's even material success. So Krishna's plan is always there, and we should always know that. So, and the surrendering process is that to surrender to the will of Krishna. You take things as it is, and then according to knowledge, then you synchronize yourself with the Krishna's plan. That's the complete surrender. So like that. So it's not as if how much I struggle, like I'm hard, then I make it. And we know practically life is not like that. So that's just my own simple explanation. I don't know if it makes any meaning at all, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for that. It's like a footnote. Thank you for the contribution, Prabhu.
Thank you, Madhavan Prabhu, for your contribution. The problem here is that sometimes, if not all the times, the scriptures make statements, and it requires some explanation. Otherwise, some of us may get it wrong. For example, Lord Chaitanya taught us that we should be as tolerant as the tree. See, how does a human being tolerate harsh weather just like a tree? You see, I'm wearing a hat because it's cold. Okay, the tree is designed by nature to withstand the cold without any foreign clothing. The tree is designed differently. I am designed differently. So when Lord Chaitanya says that we should be as tolerant as the tree, he is the Supreme Lord. So he understands why he is saying that. But I do not understand. And I know if I say that this is what the Supreme Lord says, and so I am not going to do anything when the weather is very cold, and I'm just going to tolerate it, I will die. So Srila Prabhupada has said so many times, and in fact today, GANGAPRASAD Prabhu, you were also speaking so nicely that there is really nothing lacking. Srila Prabhupada said that if you had a bag of rice and a bird came, the bird will come and eat and leave the entire bag of rice there. What about a human being? A human being will come and will take the whole bag away. So if this is what we are saying, then it means that we should not even try to save any food that is going to be cooked for tomorrow. We should only have food that is to be cooked today. But is that how we live our lives? We don't live our lives like that. And that is why I'm saying that when the scriptures make certain statements, they require explanations. And so in this perspective, or in this regard, what does it mean, GANGAPRASAD Prabhu, when the scriptures say that one should not make plans for tomorrow? It's material. Food is material. Bhoga is material. Bhoga only becomes prasadam when it's been offered to Krishna. It becomes spiritualized. So, but we hoard bhoga. Are we not contradicting what we are telling the world? Please help.
Very interesting question. I have one weakness that I don't tax my intellect too much. I'm simple in my understanding, simple in my position, simple in my endeavor. And the first lesson Krishna taught us in Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, first lesson. It is going to be difficult, but what does it look like when you don't have bhoga in the house? It's disturbing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it?
Yes.
When you don't have money, it's disturbing. When you don't have certain things, it's disturbing. But that was lesson 1 Krishna gave in Bhagavad Gita 2:14. Matras pasas tu konte yasit nusa sukadukada. Agama paniyo nityam tantitik shakshwa. Krishna said, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course of time are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer. They arise out of sense perception. Please take note of this. Your perception, my perception, somebody was saying, our realities of life depends on our perception. It's like when you are wearing spectacles. If your spectacle is tinted green, your perception will all be green. But that doesn't mean that is the reality. If you wear blue, if you wear plain, perception. So Krishna arises out of a sense perception. And what he said in that Upanishad, we have imperfect senses. We are prone to making mistakes. So all what we do is affected by this material disposition. But Krishna said, learn to tolerate without being disturbed. Disturbance will be there, but learn. Krishna will fill the gap for you. So this is my simple understanding. I'm not against any game plan that people envisage and effect, but ultimately, do you get disturbed with it? Like as devotees, is it that we don't face disturbing situations? We do a lot. But Krishna's instruction is you have to learn to tolerate. Even like Krishna Pad was mentioning, he said sometimes people treat you in a way that you don't like. But what Krishna Pad said is pretend as if you are not affected by it. Then they will not see it as your weakness.
Mm.
Skill, these are the technical know-hows. Miserable situation will come. Lack is always there. Everything is sometimes not there. But in Krishna's holistic plan, everything is there. I like the example you gave of the bag of rice in Upanishad 2, Upanishad mantra 2 and mantra 1. That if you see a wallet, 3 people think of it differently. One person wants to keep it for himself. The other person wants to avoid it. The third person wants to pick it up and search for the real owner and hand it over. This is perceptions also. And the one you gave directly, a bag of rice in the market square. The bird will come, take the much that it requires, and go. Because the bird has full conviction that there is provision for him. And Jesus mentioned that in the Bible. That if you are worried about your maintenance, the bird but they are maintained. The beasts of the field, the same thing, they are maintained. He now said, what about you that is made in his image and likeness? Will he not maintain you? So these are philosophical, deep conviction that we should acquire. And then we put ourselves in a situation where whatever Krishna wants, ultimately, is so. Otherwise, it's not wrong to make attempt, but if our attempts are taking us away from absorption in our Krishna consciousness, which is what happened in most of the cases, most of the cases, it will derail you. And you lose your Krishna consciousness, which is the gem. And it is obvious in our present day life, Rupa Goswami left wealth to go and practice Krishna consciousness. But we leave Krishna consciousness to go and look for wealth. See the contradicting situations. So there are things we have to be probing about, but we have to draw a thin line. What is favorable for your Krishna consciousness? That's the first principle of surrender. Accept what is favorable, reject what is unfavorable. So if planning is favorable for your own Krishna consciousness, nobody can stop you from doing it. Okay, but the emphasis here is material plans. I want to be this, I want to be that, I want to have this. You can see many people. From practical example, I was speaking with Krishna PRABHU because he had a plan to build an edifice in his village, but he is living in UK. Okay, he has some money. He came. He took my guidance to get an architect to draw the plan for that edifice. There will be swimming pool at the penthouse. There will be swimming pool downstairs. And there will be swimming pool also in the boys' quarter, which is also like 3-story building. And this guy draw. As of today, as I'm speaking to you, the architect is dead. And the project also has been greatly minimized. The energy and time used to do this would have been better used in enhancing our Krishna consciousness. Just like the prostitute, what is that her name, told Chintamani, he told the Mangatako, all this effort you took just to come and feel the warmth of my body and association, if you put them into Krishna consciousness, your life will be more perfect. This is the icing on the cake for the question. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Well, thank you so much. I don't know if Srimad Bharahara Acharya is still here. I think I saw his hand up. Prabhuji, do you still have something to say or ask?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Krishna Sama Obeisansis Ganga Prabhu.
Dava Pranam Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Oh, glory to Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
All glories to your divine lotus state. All glories to Guru and Varanga.
Sorry, I'm in the traffic, so please tolerate the noise. Actually, I put down my hand because Prabhu just said some of the things I wanted to say about taking a bag of rice in the street. Yes, so I mean, this is addressing greed. Greed. That is
Yes.
why, like he rightly said, there's no scarcity. Why there's so much suffering is because of greed. People hoarding more than what they need. And that is a fact. If you know how much people are wasting and hoarding, I mean, like you see from the result of all these politicians in Nigeria,
Wow.
billions and billions of money they are hoarding. They cannot even finish spending in their whole lifetime. And people are suffering and dying. So this is what that taking a bag of rice is alluding to greed. Yeah. And then also what the side of Prabhu was saying about Hare Krishna, about not making plans. I mean, we used to say that if you don't make plans, uh,
You're
what
planning
is
to
that?
fail.
You're planning to fail. You know, you're planning to fail. Yeah, so okay, sorry. So that is it. So those are the contributions I wanted to make. I mean, we cannot live without planning.
Thank you very much.
Otherwise we are planning to fail. But
All
also we
right.
have to avoid greed.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
Hare Krishna.
much. Thank you very much. I appreciate, and I think you made very nice inputs. There's a point we are missing, and the point is that material plans, Prabhupada said that his weakness is he plans so much for Krishna. So spiritual plan does not encapsulate this material plan because all material plans will come to naught. But Krishna plan survives eternally. Look at Prabhupada's plan to spread Krishna consciousness, and Krishna endowed him. After more than 50 years that Prabhupada left this planet, Krishna consciousness is not diminishing. It is expanding, Kevala Ananda Kant, ever increasing. But what is the difference? If we take precedence from the environment we are in here in Nigeria, all the big religious institutions, they build it, they make plans, and they think their children should be their successors. And all those institutions are crumbling. But Prabhupada made this spiritual plan. He didn't think for his children taking it over. That is one point, selflessness. He made it for Krishna, and Krishna is sustaining the institution. Otherwise, it's not that there are no problems in Krishna consciousness. There are many problems in the institution, but it is thriving because the foundation is based on for Krishna and Krishna's plan. So when we talk about planning, material plans and spiritual plans, we make differences for them. We are not saying don't make spiritual plan. If you don't make spiritual plan, you will not set up the temple that you are doing there. But you are not doing the temple because you want to make it benefit you materially. It's to expand Krishna's pleasure. They are two different things. Like the Prabhupada said in the purport, that we plan for our material life. Well, Prabhupada used the word here that the householders, they plan for their material life. It's somewhere in the purport there. It's illusory creation. There's no scarcity. The materials are disturbed. But Prabhupada said, we plan the material, thinking material to be independent. I can't pin the place now, but it's here in the purport. Also, I've gotten it. I've gotten it.
Okay.
The Lord is independent and desireless. He does not create the material world for his own satisfaction. Prabhupada did not create his come for his own satisfaction. And our planning should not be to fulfill our whims and caprices. It should be for Krishna's plan.
Prabhupada froze.
Just a minute, please. He does not create the material world for his own satisfaction. As we create our own, household affairs to fulfill our material desires. You see the contradiction here, or the difference? We create it for our own material. So material plans is what this statement is purportedly discouraging, not spiritual plans. Spiritual plan, following proper say, my weakness or my fault. I plan very big for Krishna. We should do that. And then we'll have unlimited fulfillment. Every center that opens even tomorrow is part of the expansion of Prabhupada's fulfillment. But Prabhupada is not doing it for his own material satisfaction. This is the only point I want to make. All contributions are good, but let us make it clear. Material plans are very transient. Spiritual plans are eternal investment that survive. This is how I can navigate this. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Well, thank you so much, Prabhu. But see, Prabhu, I see Harichakra Prabhu has a stand up. Prabhu Harichakra. Okay, I'll let Harichakra Prabhu go because I had a question in regards to what you just said, but I think Harichakra Prabhu may also have something in regards to what you said. Prabhuji, you may unmute Harichakra Prabhu. I like the devotees who speak and leave lots of windows. So you may ask questions. So thank you so much.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can you hear me?
Yes, Hare Krishna.
Dandava Pranam.
Okay, Dandava Pranam, all glories to Gurudev, all glories to Prabhupada, and all glories to you, GANGAPRASAD Prabhu, and all glories to the
All glories to you too.
Yeah, thank you for your class. Now, yeah, my question is also stems from the same point about not making plans and all that. Many a time I get confused. A lot of times I get confused about this statement because I realize that, I mean, take for instance, even in the regular world, let's put devotional service aside. In the regular world, if somebody amasses wealth, if someone does everything selfishly, society condemns the person.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the regular world, anybody who is so selfish and he does everything selfishly, people condemn him. That this guy don't mind. He's always thinking of himself, him or herself.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody lives his life, including everybody around him or her,
Mm-hmm.
that person is considered to be, what do we call it? They will even say he's a godly person. Oh, this person, he has a good heart, right? Because of trying to display something selfless. So personally, the way I understand it is, why do we say we shouldn't plan? Because devotees, I remember those days when we go on Harinam, you can go to some village and someone will host you because the person has a very nice place and he hosts us. And after the hosting, the next day, devotees, when we all in our van, we will be praising the person. Oh, this person is special. He's a devotee. We will be saying some wonderful things about that person. Why? Because he opened his house for us, right? But if he had not made plans to build that house and build that facility, how could it have been possible for him to make that facility available for us? So, well, that's why I was going to ask. Even though you have explained it, you have expanded on whatever you were saying, but deep within my heart, sometimes, like I said, I get a little bit confused about don't make plans, because I remember who was saying, one of Prabhupada's disciples was saying, was preaching, and he mentioned that at a certain point in time, Prabhupada asked his disciples about what do you how do you think we can expand our movement, that we can sustain our movement and expand? And the devotees were given different what do we call it, answers. Some were saying we have to chant our 16 rounds. Prabhupada said no. Some were saying that we have to be, what do we call it, compassionate to each other. Prabhupada said no. They said a lot of things, and everything they said, he said no. And eventually everybody was quiet. So they said, Prabhupada, what do we have to do? Then Prabhupada said, with good planning and good management, with good planning and good management, you can expand. You see, when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati sent some of his disciples to London to go and preach, he didn't send them to go and do anything for themselves. He said, go and preach. They went, they failed. He asked Prabhupada to go and preach. Prabhupada went and he succeeded. But if you read Prabhupada Lilamrita, you will see that Prabhupada had serious strategic planning for every step that he takes. And because he was not doing it for like himself, but he was doing it out of the heart, selflessly, to help the conditioned soul, he was able to become successful. So I'm thinking that we should always make, I don't even know how to put it. The planning issue, when it comes in, like Sadeh Prabhu was saying, I think the clarification is very, very important. Because basically speaking, this world that we live in, every step we take can be considered material. It turns into spiritual based on the sort of mentality, the sort of consciousness, the sort of what do we call it, understanding with which we perform that activity. Otherwise, we will be living here and just be waiting for things to happen. Like my Guru Maharaj, Bhattacharya Maharaj says that the mercy of Krishna and Guru is abundantly available for us. But the mercy alone is not enough. The mercy should be coupled with effort. So if we don't make the effort, then the mercy alone will not manifest. Effort and mercy put together, then the manifestation comes. So I like the expansion that you made, but I'm also like I said, sometimes a little bit confused about we hearing that we don't have to plan. That was sometimes it throws me off. That so what do we have to do? Do we become ascetics? We go into the forest and just sit down and chant and wait for things to happen. So Prabhu, you can if you have the time, please chip in something to clear my doubt.
Hare Krishna. We lost GANGAPRASAD Prabhu for a little bit.
I am here.
But
Here.
but yes.
I'm here.
Whatever little you missed is nothing big. I mean, the theme is the same thing. As great, yes.
I caught up with the portion that wants my input. I listened carefully, and all your points are right. But I said it before you were given the opportunity. We are mixing spiritual plans and material plans. Okay? If you go to Bhagavad Gita chapter 11, text 55, purport, Prabhu, you can highlight it. 11:55. Gita 11:55, purports.
Okay. 11:55. Oh, that is the last text.
In 11. And there's one word that they use there, Krishna karma. There's a word used there, Krishna karma. So if you look in the purport, I think in our regular book, in the purport, the first para down, it says, so if one gives some amount of his money to persons involved in distributing Krishna consciousness and charity, given to spread Krishna consciousness is the greatest charity in the world. So the person you went to his house that hosted you for Harinam is not doing a material thing, spiritual. And if one worships as prescribed in the temple in India, there is always some statue, usually of Vishnu or Krishna. That is a chance to progress by offering worship and respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No, I'm reading the wrong one. Sorry. 55. In the purport, there is first paragraph.
I have it here. This is all Krishna karma.
Karma. Okay, but I'm coming to that. I've not gotten there.
Okay.
No work should be done by any man except in relationship to Krishna. Please take that before where you are now. No work should be done by any man except in relationship to Krishna. So working for Krishna, planning in line with Krishna is not material. Please take note of this. This is called Krishna karma. One may be engaged in various activities, but one should not be attached to the result of his work. The result should be done only for him. For example, one may be engaged in business, but to transform that activity into Krishna consciousness, one has to do business for Krishna. Are you getting there?
Mm-hmm.
Huh? If Krishna is the proprietor of the business, then Krishna should enjoy the profit of the business. If a businessman is in possession of thousands and thousands of dollars, and he has to offer all this to Krishna, he can do it. That is work for Krishna. Instead of constructing a big building for his sense gratification, in the purport of what we read also, planning his family for his sense gratification, it was there. For his sense gratification, he can construct a nice temple for Krishna, and he can install the deity of Krishna and arrange for the deity's service as is outlined in the authorized books of devotional service. That is all Krishna karma. One should not be attached to the result of his work, but the result should be offered to Krishna, and one should accept as prasadam the remnants of the food offering to Krishna. If one constructs a very big building for Krishna and install the deity of Krishna, one is not prohibited from living there, but it is understood that the proprietor of the building is Krishna. That is called Krishna consciousness. I don't know what this helps us to understand. In contrast to all the material plans, this is spiritual planning. That is my own point. I'm not saying you should not plan, but please do spiritual plans. That's my input. That's where I stand.
Well, thank you.
This is a very relevant point, and we thank you for elaborating, and devotees, we thank you all for also heightening it up, because Prabhuji, the fact remains that our Gurukul is understood to be a spiritual school. Material education is called material. And as such, there are some devotees who prevent their children from attending material schools, like the normal schools that people attend to. Some devotees prevent their children from attending such schools because they say it's material. They're going to be taught subject matters that have nothing to do with Krishna consciousness. But it turns out that when these people who were deprived of attending material school grow up to become adults, they want to curse their parents. So but what I am understanding from the explanation you've given is that what is material, what is spiritual, is based on the consciousness and how we do or use whatever we have in the service of Krishna. So if that is the understanding that something may be material, but if it is used in the service of Krishna, it is spiritual, then that is very fine with me, because somebody may go to school and study languages. All these languages are material. Maybe when this person was going to school, he was not a devotee. He didn't know anything about devotional service. He was just going to school to study languages as a profession to earn his daily living. And then at some point, this person becomes a devotee. And then he's able to use what he has learned in various languages to help translate Srila Prabhupada's books. So in this way, at some point, it appeared to be material, but now it is spiritual. So that is my little understanding, that anything is material, but we can use anything so-called material in the service of Krishna and it will be spiritual.
That is what Rupa Goswami said.
Yeah.
Nirbanda Krishna Sambande Yukta Vairagya Uchate. Yukta Vairagya means detachment from the things. When Krishna becomes the beneficiary, the proprietor, and all of this. So if we have such consciousness, whatever plan we make is for Krishna's pleasure. That is spiritual consciousness. That is Krishna consciousness like we just read now. Okay, but many people want to make big plans. Even in Bhagavad Gita, their plans are bewildered. Mayaya Parita. Okay, all this is there, but then we can see it from different angles, but the ultimate angle is in relationship with Krishna. And at that point, you see that even there's nothing like material.
Yeah.
Do you understand? There's nothing like material. So if from the onset your goal is for Krishna, whatever you do is spiritual. You understand? So these are the points. Otherwise, if we start juggling words, we may bewilder ourselves also.
Yeah.
Let us keep focus.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I would like to say something small. First, I would like to ask you, you see, there are 8,400,000 species of life.
Yes, yes.
And we can see that within the species, like a human species, 400,000, everybody look different. You never look the same. Never look the same. So that means that Lord Brahma has to plan according to that person's karma. He has to plan how to shape that person. The kind of dress, the kind of eye, the kind of nostrils, the kind of mouth, is all based on plan. Can we say that what Lord Brahma did, Lord Brahma's service, is material or is spiritual?
But
So what I'm saying, yeah, we can say it's spiritual because he was acting on behalf of Krishna's order.
That's it.
Good, spiritual. So that means that everything is according to plan. We have to plan to do everything, whether material or spiritual. It requires planning. Everything requires planning. We cannot do without planning. We have to plan. But some of the plans are not beneficial to the planner. You are planning for what? You're planning to live in this world. But are you going to be here? You'll not be allowed to stay here. So that makes your plan fatal. That makes your plan illusion. But a plan that will help you to live out of this world and have a better place to stay without coming back is the actual planning. So if Srila Prabhupada said, do not plan, why is Prabhupada telling his disciples don't plan? Knowing very well that he's teaching them Krishna consciousness. So if he was telling them about the material planning, then there's no need to tell someone who is a vegetarian that don't eat meat. Or you go and preach to someone who is a vegetarian about meat eating. He's already not eating meat, so why telling him not to eat meat? So what Prabhupada was teaching his disciples is that of Krishna planning, plan for Krishna. The plan supposed to be the service to the Lord. And so if you take Krishna aside, that means you are taking your own liberation aside if you don't plan to serve the Lord. And so my understanding about this planning is that there should be Krishna center. That because the materialistic people, they don't know Krishna's factor, they think they are doing everything for themselves, and that is that activity goes against them. Because eventually, whatever they do, also there is either positive or negative reaction to the plan that anybody may try to plan. And so in order for all the reactions to be accepted by the Lord and you become karma-free, is to plan for Krishna. But unfortunately, because people do not know, they plan for themselves, therefore, they suffer the reaction from their plans. And so that is Srila Prabhupada teaching. That's what Prabhupada is trying to educate the world. Do not plan, do not eat. Does not mean that do not eat prasad. It means if there's no prasad, if there's no food for you to eat, if there's no food for you, I mean, if they say do not eat, means that one may translate it to be that don't eat meat, don't eat anything abominable, don't eat anything that is not offered to Krishna. But eat means to eat prasad. Do not eat means that don't eat anything that is not offered to Krishna, because that will go against you. And so do not plan. Don't plan means don't plan for yourself, because the reaction will not be so fantastic. You have to suffer the reaction. So that is my understanding, that we have to center Krishna in everything that we do. Because the karmis, or those who are not that much advanced in God consciousness, may not know this. And so Srila Prabhupada has put it there for us to explain to those who don't know that we are to plan, but the plan also brings reaction. And in order for us not to incur that reaction to our plans, we should place Krishna in whatever we do. But we cannot live in this world without plan. Even birds, they make their nest, they have to plan. They have to plan to build vehicles. They have to plan to build airplanes. They have to plan for everything. You even have to plan what to eat. You plan to go to sleep. You plan to do everything. Everything requires plan. But there should be Krishna in the center. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. You kind of moderated the discussion, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome, Prabhu.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. Thank you so much for the time, the knowledge, and the wisdom. But I must say that you are hereby fined $100 for coming in late. That is your fine for today.
Better late than never.
Better late than never. That is absolutely true. But
does that go to me?
The fine still stays.
Does that goes to me or what?
No, GANGAPRASAD Prabhu.
All right.
Yes, because he's hereby fined $100.
Who will collect the dollars?
Oh, Kusha. Kusha is the money man.
Yeah, but who will collect on behalf of Krishna?
No, I said Kusha.
In Nigeria now, there's a contention about tithing. It's a big discussion.
Yes.
Who is entitled or qualified to take tithes?
Yeah, I've been following that.
And what do they use the tithe for?
Yeah.
You know? But
Yes.
it's nice. It's interesting to be in this
Very
kind
nice.
of forum. Thank
Yes,
you.
very nice. Well, we thank you all devotees. We've been here for 2 hours. Thank you so much, GANGAPRASAD Prabhu. Dear devotees, we're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute, and we all chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra to express our appreciation to our dear brother, His Grace GANGAPRASAD Prabhu, for sharing his love and wisdom with us today. Jai. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Panchakalpadasya, Sindhya Patitana Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha, Anantakoti Vaishnavita Ki Jai.
Jai.
All glories to Great Ganga Das Prasad Prabhu Ki Jai.
I am more grateful for the opportunity to do some service. Thank you, the organizers of this platform. I'm grateful and eternally indebted to you all. Hare Krishna.